Hello. Have you ever wondered how a carpenter is able to build a roof out of dimensional lumber like 2x6s? Today I'm going to show you a technique that's been used for almost a century to be able to lay out your rafters quickly and accurately, saving you both time and money. When you get a Swanson Speed Square, it's usually going to come with this blue book. And for years, I had no idea what this blue book even was about until someone unlocked the magic potential that's inside of this. So traditionally, when you're going to lay out a rafter, you'd use a framing square. You lay that framing square multiple times, or how many ever units of run would be required for that rafter. The problem with this is you occasionally would have errors on each one of those layouts. And with multiple times laying it down, you have multiple chances to make an error. That's why the Swanson Speed Square method makes it much quicker and much more accurate rafter layout throughout this process. Okay, so for this layout, we're going to use a 6 and 12 slope. Our building is going to be 6 foot wide, and we're going to give it a 1 foot overhang, just for our example. So we'll use our speed square, but first we need to start in our blue book. What we would do is find our length for a building that would be 6 foot wide and on a 6 and 12 slope. That shows us that our common rafter is going to need to be 3 feet 4 1/4 of an inch. Now, to give us the additional overhang we need, we have to assume 1 foot of overhang for both sides of our building, which means we have an 8 foot wide rafter at that point. At 6 and 12 on the slope, that puts us at 4 foot 5 5/8 of an inch. Now we've got our numbers and we're ready to start laying out lines onto our 2x6 rafter. One of the first things we want to do for our layout of our rafter is come to the top of our board that's going to be against the ridge. This would be known as our plumb cut, and we want to mark this where it will find ourselves at 6 on our common line and put a scribe line right there. Next, what you want to do is use your tape measure to hook onto the end of your board and then pull down to our first number, which was 3 foot 4 inches and 1/4. So that'd be 3 foot 4, 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to give myself a tick there. Come on down to my next, which would be with my overhang on my 1 foot tail, 4 foot 5 5/8 of an inch, and give myself a line there. At this point, you'll use your square again with the pivot to match up to be at 6 and 12, which would be on your common line of your square. We'll do that once more here at the tail cut, to be our last cut that we have to make on this particular rafter. The other step we're going to do here is to come back and mark our bird's mouth. And bird's mouth is what's going to seat upon our wall, so this creates our seat cut as well as our bird's mouth. To do this, what we'll do is use our pivot point here and then match the 3 1/2 inches against our wall line, which will become our seat cut. Give a line across there. Give some scribe marks to make sure we know where to cut. We're ready to cut this out. Now that we've cut our tail and our plumb, it's time to cut out the bird's mouth. To do this, I'll still use a skill saw, and I'll finish this off with a hand saw. The idea is to stop short, finish with a hand saw so you get a nice clean cut. Nice and clean. Now, we have our 6 and 12 slope, our perfectly plumb ridge, and our nice tail cut. Let's template this one out, make a second. Since we have the first one that we like, we'll take our second and trace over, using it as a template pattern for our next. We'll then use these two to determine whether we have a good fit or not for our building, if we're able to come up with 6 feet between our two bird's mouths here. All right, so what we've done is taken our two that we've cut, laid them on the ground here, and we're going to check for the span between the two bird's mouth seat cuts. You can see here we hit 6 feet right at it, so we're good to go. If you were a little bit short, you'd want to make adjustments. If you're a little bit long, you want to make adjustments. And then once you have two that you like, you could use one of those as a template to continue on your cuts. All right, looks like I've got 2 good rafters to start with. I'm going to get busy scribing, cutting out the rest of these for this roof system. If you're interested in learning more about how to frame rafter layout and estimation for roofing materials, check out our other videos. Hopefully today you learned a better, quicker way to lay out your rafters. Now go make some sawdust.